Hey everyone, Morgan here. So welcome to the Road Preparedness Prepper Book Club. All right, so what we are going to be talking about today is, you probably guessed from the title, my favorite cooking books. So I love cookbooks. I'm a little obsessed, but when I think about cookbooks, I want to think about ingredients and things that I can also cater to, like stored food and prepper food, like the powdered stuff like powdered eggs and things like that. But a lot of recipes that you find you're going to be able to like if it calls for eggs, you can use the powdered eggs regardless whether the recipe says so or not. But I don't like to get too complicated with my recipes either, so you will notice in all my cooking videos and stuff, they're very simple because I like simple. I don't have a ton of time to be slaving over a stove, making like a 10-course meal for me and my husband and my kids, who my kids will only eat like 2 bites and say they hate it. And okay, so let's get on. So this is a breads. It's just Breads by Williams and Sonoma. And by the way, I will have links to all these books down below in the description. I got this on for a half-price book, but it has like a whole bunch of breads, simple sesame sticks, Irish soda bread. I've made some things from here and they're good. It even talks about sourdough starter in here, but it's a very simple book. There's so many bread books out there. I encourage you to actually find a really good bread book that'll have like a whole slew of breads that you can look through, because this is good. It's not my favorite. I actually probably get more bread recipes from the internet than I do from this book, but I have used this book before, so I'm more encouraging you to look for like a bread book that's like a general, probably more inclusive than that and that kind of thing. Okay, so this is The Joy of Cooking. The Joy of Cooking is probably one of my favorites. I have a really old edition. This one, the older, the better. It says 1930s through 1975, so I think this is the 1975 version. But regardless, the older the better. 70s, 60s, things like that. They'll be much better. This is a phenomenal book. There are exactly 0 pictures. There are 0 pictures. But it is chock full with tips, advice, and recipes about how to do literally anything. Okay, you can learn how to make anything. One of my missions in getting cookbooks and learning to cook and trying to be more self-reliant and stuff like that is making my own stuff. So like making my own crackers, making my own mayonnaise, making my own everything. How do I do this stuff? This Reader's Digest Homemade was a suggestion by my friend Melanie, and I love it. I really love this book. It has all kinds of things from basic, cookies and cheesecakes to, this one has Irish soda bread too, quick breads, chutneys, pasta, vinaigrettes, salad dressings, condiments, breakfast cereals, and then it also has crackers and yeah, it also has some household products. It actually has like a few household products that you could make. I'm trying to show it to you. So like alcohol, insect treatment, homemade insecticide, things like that. Like it has some like homemade stuff outside of just food. It has just some like general home cleaning and stuff like that. So how to make hundreds of everyday products you would otherwise buy. Really good, remedies, gardening needs, home cares, toiletries, cleaners, soups. It has a lot of stuff. Pet supplies, it does have some of that. So really good book. I love Spam, and when I found out that they had a cookbook, I had to get it. This is a really fun cookbook. If anything, it gives you some fun ideas on how to just put some spin on stuff that you make every day, like pizza, a Spam Hawaiian pizza. Brilliant. Like just basic, everyday things that you can do with Spam. If you're a prepper and you prep Spam, you should have this cookbook. So I looked a long time for a sourdough cookbook that could actually tell me how to get the sourdough starter started, as well as things to actually make with sourdough. Now, this is a good book, I will say. It's a very good book. The only thing about this book is that it will tell you sometimes to use yeast, which is not a bad thing. You know, like, so there are very hardcore people who will never use yeast when they make sourdough breads, but sometimes, you know, you can. But, you know, like, I'm not trying to say that to discourage you. There are a ton of recipes in here that just use the sourdough starter. So, but to, like, when I first got started, like, I just wanted to test my sourdough. I did use a yeast recipe just to, you know, whatever. And I did like it was a yeast sourdough breadsticks. Very good. Oh yeah, I think I did the video here. Okay, anyway, you know, like, this one is sourdough oatmeal bread, just using the sourdough starter, not the yeast. I'm just saying, like, there might be a couple that use yeast, but there's so many good sourdough recipes in here. I highly recommend this one. This is actually probably one of the best that I've found, and very simple. So this is cooking and baking. Basically, it's 71 recipes for making and using probiotic rich ferments. This is yogurt and kefir. And now I want to know how to make, like, yogurt, and so I got this, and I got some kefir grains, but I haven't really done too much with it. But if you are interested in making yogurt and kefir and things like that, am I saying kefir right? Kefir? Okay, so, like, cultured butter, creams, and cheeses. When I get serious about making cheese, I'm going to be getting a cheese book, but I'm not too serious about that right now. Maybe when I have a dairy cow or a goat or something, I will. But this is an interesting book if you're interested in this. The Dutch Oven Cast Iron Cooking. This is a fantastic book. In fact, I had a really difficult time finding books that said, like, listen, you know, I just want to cook in cast iron. And, like, I know Lodge has it, and I know some others. But, you know, I wanted some breads and just different things. But what I really like about this is that it says on the stove or over the fire. Or it says in the oven or over the fire. It gives you both options, which is so nice and convenient. I can do these things either way. But it gives you an over the fire. That right there, the over the fire, is the most difficult thing I've been able to find in cast iron. A lot of books that talk about cast iron is all about the oven or on the stovetop. They're not, you know, they don't talk about over the fire. So that's what I was looking for. Dutch oven, cast iron cooking. But there are lots, and maybe I just haven't stumbled upon them yet. I know Lodge has a cookbook. I want to get theirs. But any cast iron cooking book that you can find to actually cook over the fire, get it. This is another one kind of like that, homemade. This is better than store-bought cookbook. See, there we go. So this is a very old book. This was another recommendation by my friend Melanie. It has very, very interesting stuff in here that I've never even heard. Crystallized mint leaves. Sounds amazing, right? Like, I want to make it right now. I may. I have mint. I have sugar. I have an egg. This sounds fascinating. I want to make it. Okay. Okay, so yeah, it talks about everything, condiments, sauces, and, you know, making things from scratch that, you know, you may otherwise buy. You know, graham crackers. One thing that I was really looking forward to in Homemade Books was crackers. You know, we love crackers, and so I wanted books that could tell me how to make crackers, and I have several now. I also really like this one, the Homemade Pantry. This is another one that's making, you know, stuff from scratch. I really like it. It has bread, tortillas, I like bread, pasta, vanilla ice cream, burgers, you know, pancakes. You know, it talks about making stock, spices, making your own spices, pickles. It does talk a little bit about canning, but I wouldn't do this as like a canning guide. I'll talk about my favorite books as canning, but like roasted nuts, tells you how to make Pop-Tarts. I mean, come on, Pop-Tarts, yum. Okay, oof, this is a big beast here. How to cook everything. I recently acquired this, and I like it. For the most part, I really like it. There's a couple weird things about it. One, like, sometimes it'll say like how to make something from scratch. Like it talks about how to make, like, for example, flour tortillas from scratch, but it doesn't talk about how to make corn tortillas from scratch. So it does not tell you how to cook everything. And sometimes, you know, but it does tell you how to make most things. You know, it tells you how to make dishes mostly. And it, you know, with a lot of things, it does tell you how to make like pancakes from scratch or like tortillas from scratch or things like that. But it doesn't have everything from scratch, which is totally fine. I think the title is a little misleading. I'm just kidding. This is a hefty book with a ton of recipes that you'll find something in here. I just found it a little odd that it didn't have like a couple things that I kind of expected. You know, I expected it to have like, you know, a corn tortilla recipe. You have a flour tortilla recipe, give me the corn tortilla recipe. Okay, lastly, I have made a whole video about this book because I loved it so much, the Prepared Family Cookbook. I use this book a lot, and it has so many great recipes, but what I really like about it is that this is like really made for preppers. You know, it's, you know, like when it talks about making sweet and sour pork, you know, when it says 1 egg, it says, or 1 tablespoon of egg powder plus 3 tablespoon water. Like, it tells you the differences that you could have, or chicken, grouse, turkey, or dehydrated garlic, or reconstituted dehydrated peppers, that kind of thing. Like, it tells you, you know, the differences. And I've talked about this before, but I thought it was a little interesting that she didn't put the differences for some things. Like, there was a white Alfredo sauce in here, and she didn't say like, oh yeah, you can use just milk or, you know, whatever, which I've made Alfredo sauce from just, you know, powdered milk, and you know, that was basically it. And, you know, you could do that with powdered milk and powdered butter and cheeses and things like that, but it didn't say that. She didn't say that. So it was kind of a little funny that she would say some alternative for some things, but not all things. So anyway, still, regardless of those little things, honestly, I don't think there's any perfect cookbook. That's why I have so many. But I love cookbooks, and I really love all the ones that I've mentioned. But, you know, one thing that you really want to start doing is printing. I have 2 binders, not full. One of them is full, one of them's half full, as you can see, of start printing recipes online. If you stumble upon a recipe that you tried and really liked from some online source, print it and save it. You know, I have tons of cookbooks, but I also print out recipes. You know, I like doing both because there's variety everywhere, and I like to have variety. Maybe there was a chewy bar recipe that was in the book that wasn't exactly like the one that I found online, so I like the online one better, so I do that. But whatever. Variety, man. Doesn't hurt to have variety. Thank you all so much for watching. Check out these books in the description down below. Thank you all so much for watching. Conquer Tomorrow by Preparing Today. Talk to you all later. Bye.